I'm Jennifer Ledwith of Scholar Ready, and welcome to your SAT Reading and Writing Review. Today, we're going to talk about a purpose question. Before you do anything, when it comes to questions on the reading and writing section of the SAT, make certain that you read and understand the question. Here's today's question. Which choice best states the main purpose of the text? That's asking why. Why was this text written? It's not necessarily main idea, it's not necessarily a summary. It's asking why was this text written? With this question in mind, let's read the text. The following text is adapted from Walter Noble Burns' 1927 semi-fictional Tombstone, an Iliad of the Old West. That tells me that this is designed to entertain. So passages on the SAT are designed to either entertain, inform, or persuade. This text is designed to entertain. We see that it also includes a mention of the Old West. So it's very likely that this passage will be set in the old American West. Let's continue to read. A stranger had ridden out of the desert into Signal and startled the raw mining town up in the Bill Williams River country of northwestern Arizona with his ineffable sartorial chaos. As the newcomer stalked past the unpainted shanty towns and shanty saloons and gambling places of the main street, the citizens loitering on the plank sidewalks, themselves roughly clad and familiar with the uncouth dress of frontier riffraff, turned to stare in amazement at the ruinous figure, his corduroy clothes shiny and threadbare, a torn hole showing here and there were patched like a crazy quilt with deerskin, flour sacking, and rags of saddle blanket. His pants were stuffed into rusty boots run down at heel, and his coat flapped open to reveal a flaming expanse of red flannel shirt. His face was half hidden by a heavy, curly brown beard, and a mass of dark, tangled, unkempt hair fell upon his shoulders. Which choice best states the main purpose of the text? All right, let's go find the answer. Let's go get the answer. Not so fast. Did you understand what we just read? Okay, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Let's take some time to define and refine. Notice that there are words that are highlighted in yellow. The purpose of highlighting the words is to draw your attention to vocabulary that may be new to you, or you may be slightly familiar with the words, but you're not quite certain what the words mean. And let me tell you this, your level of vocabulary will place a ceiling on how well you perform on the SAT. So the better your vocabulary, the better your scores. And if you want to continue to work with me and Scholar Ready in improving that vocabulary and working on reading and writing, check out the link in the notes. So let's define the words and refine our understanding. A stranger had ridden out of the desert into Signal. So Signal starts with a capital S. That means that Signal is a place. So a stranger had ridden out of the desert into this place and startled the raw mining town. So what does raw mean? Raw means not refined, not sophisticated. So this stranger had ridden out of the desert into this raw, kind of crude place, not your sophisticated big city that you may be, accustomed to, or one that you may have visited. So the stranger startled the raw mining town up in the Bill Williams River country of northwestern Arizona. So there we go, the Old West. Arizona was considered part of the West at the time, the Old West at the time. River country of northwestern Arizona with his ineffable sartorial chaos. So let's take some time to define and refine that. Ineffable means it's just, we can't even describe, we can't even put into words what's going on. It's just, it's just beyond words. We have no words to describe something. And what we're trying to describe is this sartorial chaos. Sartorial has to do with how someone dresses and their style. So we have this stranger who has this way of dress that's so chaotic, it can't even be put into words. As the newcomer stalked past the unpainted shanty saloon. So a shanty is a shack. Think of a rundown building. So to put all this together, a saloon is a bar. So let's think about a raggedy, rundown, unpainted bar. And that's what's in this town. So we have these unpainted shanty saloons and gambling places of the main street. The citizens loitering. So loitering means to just hang out. You're just hanging out for no purpose. Loitering on the plank sidewalks, themselves roughly clad. So that means that they themselves look rough in terms of their clothes. Clad means how you're clothed. So we have these citizens who are just hanging out. They're in their rough clothes, and they're familiar with the uncouth dress of frontier riffraff. So they're familiar with, the graceless dress of frontier riffraff. So people in the Wild West who may be at the bottom of society. So here they are. They are dressed rough. They're used to people who are dressed not necessarily with a lot of grace, not with a lot of class. They're used to that. And they turn to stare in amazement at the ruinous figure. So ruinous means broken down. So they're staring in amazement at this broken figure, and figure refers to the stranger. So the figure is referring to the way the stranger looks. His corduroy clothes, shiny and threadbare. So let's talk about threadbare. Threadbare is, think about clothes that have just been worn and worn and worn. They're worn down. A thorn-torn hole showing here and there. So the clothes has the holes in it. Were patched like a crazy quilt with deerskin, flour sacking, and rags of saddle blankets. So that means that this person is wearing clothes that are they're just on their last legs. And wherever there's a hole, the clothes have been patched with anything you can find. Deerskin, the sacks that the flour comes in, saddle blankets. Okay. So here we go. So that shows you how he looks. His pants were stuffed into rusty boots. And I don't know about you. I have boots, but I've never worn rusty boots before. Run down at heel. Wow. Yeah, I've run down his shoes to the heel. I've run down the heels of my shoes before. And his coat flapped open to reveal a flaming expanse. Expanse is a wide area. So a flaming expanse of red flannel shirt. His face was half hidden by a heavy, curly brown beard and a mass of dark, tangled, unkempt hair fell upon his shoulders. And unkempt means poorly groomed. In other words, his hair looks a mess. Now, let's take and now I'm going to put my own words. I'm going to put the answer in my own words. And then what we'll do next is we'll match my own words to the answer choices. Whichever one best matches my words is going to be the correct answer. All right. So what would I say? Why was this written? This was written to really show how poorly this stranger was dressed. And we can see that because of the comparison. Look. The people who already look rough and were used to rough looking people and raggedy people are surprised at how raggedy this person looks. Let's make sure that we define and refine the answer choices. Elites. Elites refer to people at the top of a particular social order. They're the top. They're considered the best in a particular group. Scorn means like to have contempt for someone or to have extreme dislike. And nomad is a wanderer, a person who wanders from place to place. Ramshackle is raggedy and run down. And arid refers to like is dry, like a dry place, almost like kind of like a desert. Now that we've refined and defined the answer choices, let's find the answer choice that best matches my own words, which my own words are, hey, this is about the purpose of this is to let us know how bad this person was dressed, how raggedy the person looked from head to toe. All right. Which choice best states the main purpose of the text? All right, to describe a typical day in a small town in the Old West. That doesn't match what I said. B, to depict how better dressed elites scorn a nomad. So that can't be true because we don't necessarily know if these people are elites. We don't know if they're the top of the society. Also, we don't see any evidence of them having, I mean, yes, they do stare at the stranger in amazement, but they don't necessarily, we don't see evidence of the elites intensely disliking this person. And then C, to emphasize the ramshackle or the rundown image of an outsider. Yes, that sounds like what I said. But before we choose C, let's read D. To describe how an impoverished person maintained his wardrobe despite arid conditions. Okay, so that description is kind of in there with how the clothes were patched, but it's not the main purpose of the text. And we want to make sure we find the main why of the text. So it sounds like C is the best answer. Let's find out what the answer is. C, to emphasize the ramshackle image of an outsider. Thank you for joining the SAT Reading and Writing Review. I'm Jennifer Ledwith of Scholar Ready. If you're interested in preparing more for the test with me, visit the link in the notes.